I already have the silk stretched off the frame. It's a tinted one. I start with the design, and when it's not very complicated, I use fading markers. It's really very handy. I've been liking these markers a lot recently, so that not to be confused, you can give yourself a hint like this. While the marker pattern has not disappeared, I outline it with the resist. I apply it with a special tube which has a metal tip screwed on it, which allows me to make the line more accurate. This is solvent-based resist, purple. Now my job is not to get confused as to which line goes on top. The resist needs to dry properly before I can start painting. And the marker line is already gone, see? In this drawing it's simple to get a 3D impression. That type or strip that lies on top is light, and the one underneath it's a kind of in the shadows. And then they switch places. I usually paint on dry silk, but I will show wet painting as well. I remove the excess paint with the paper tissue and try to make a smooth transition from light to dark. And in this area I will paint on wet silk. As stated, I use only one color, and I decided to let it be lilac. It's pretty concentrated, and that's why it's so dark. And this is the dye that will need to be steamed onto the fabric. A plain white plate is my palette, and I use porous paper to dry the brush if necessary. Here I'm wetting the light areas with water, and I'm going to color the shadow areas with dye. I try to paint each strip differently, but keeping the logic of light-dark, of course. I really wanted the tapes to be different. It will make the image more lively, not mechanistic. I always work on raw-edged silk, not lined, which allows me to pull the silk tight. I think I need to talk about this in a separate video, and if you are interested in this topic, let me know in the comments. Here I'd like to enhance the shadow. In some places I paint the shadow along the line of the ribbon and somewhere at an angle, and this is also for variety. This time our elements are flat, and next time, in next video, the elements will be three-dimensional, like a cylinder or stem. These are All very simple exercises that give you a sense of how the elements are related in space, and that the areas closer to us are usually more illuminated, and the more distant ones are hidden in the shadows. And these skills are very necessary to make more complex compositions in future, which we'll definitely do. And plus, they help you get a sense of how many gradations there are between the darkest and lightest shades. And I like to work with colored silk. The color immediately creates a mood, and it seems to me that this cool light gray color fits perfectly for my idea. And now the background. There are many options here. Leave it as it is. Make it dark, but I chose the third option, to make it medium, so that it's lighter than the darkest areas and darker than the lightest areas. I mixed it in a separate plastic cup and checked its saturation on a paper towel. And the first one I'm painting on dry silk. I forgot to tell you that I have a round synthetic brush. I like the elasticity of it. And now I decided to change the brush to a flat bristle one. It's bigger and rubs the paint better. This is what I'm showing you. The transitions will smooth out after it dries, but there are some paints that leave halos, and then they need wet silk to work on. And when the background is painted, I want to intensify the shadows in some places. I'd love your reaction to my videos if you find them useful and interesting.